Please be advised that this video will have heavy spoilers for the Blueballs incident, as well as may have flashing images. A major aspect of this video is that I've had to re-edit it and re-record it a couple times. What I'm attempting to do is file everything into categories between not just the three major acts, but also the characters when we chronologically find them. With the characters of boyfriend and girlfriend, I will be keeping their analysis waiting for the end of the video after everything else is completed. So before we go further, let me go ahead and explain what I mean by the three acts. The first one is effectively everything that involves Smiley, the first four songs. The second act will be all the other Trollges that occur. And the third act is going to be about the machinations of the Tallman character. That's how I'm going to be referring to him throughout the video to avoid spoilers in case at any point in time you feel like pausing, stopping, whatever, and go seeing it yourself. Some things are going to be disjointed and some things might not make sense at first, but hopefully by the time the video's over, it'll all come together and I would have explained everything effectively. Now the setting of the game is going to be fairly simple to explain, at least in terms of the beginning of it, where there's a Trollges containment foundation. They hunt down these monsters and contain them, and Boyfriend is one of their agents. That leads us into the question of what are the Trollges, and I don't mean that as in what are they in the memes, I mean what are they in the setting. The simplest explanation is that something has infected people with TP cells, or troll protein cells. Due to various reasons, this infection drives them to evil insanity and eventually transforms their bodies into skeletal forms with pale, grinning faces. Now, a couple things to get into before we actually delve into the characters themselves is the Trollges are shown to be able to revert to their normal state and then re-transform. And in the case of two of them, they are explicitly stated to have died before they became what they are now. This undead quality to them is a little bit confirmed by something Smiley says, where he describes himself as a skeletal monster, which may be signifying that all of them, in some form or another, wind up being undead or zombie-like. So another thing to remember is that this infection appears to be inherent in all worlds, and I bring that up because in the letter at the start we're told that there are other worlds, and it's also said at various other points in the mod. Now the reason I say the infection is inherent is because two characters, JJ and Jenkins, did not make deals with another entity in order to activate their transformations. They have two different ways of that activation happening, but there didn't seem to be an influence from a third party in terms of infecting them. And one last aspect to all of them is that all of the Trollges suggest that they keep hearing voices in their head even when they're not transformed, which might be a side effect or a sign of the infection. With that out of the way, let's go to our first Trollge.
Blueballs boy, let's smile together. Let's do a little trolling.
To start with our first character, Smiley, the first thing we can discuss about him is that a Twitter post after the release of the mod had Malicious Bunny tell us the backstory for him involved Smiley killing himself after his family left him. However, he did take a deal from something to be able to come back in order to find his daughter. When you get a Game Over versus Smiley songs, it will show you a sequence that depicts him speaking with the voices and discussing the deal. Another thing to take away from Smiley is that he's clearly not trying to hurt anybody when he's not transformed. However, he can be triggered into transforming and wanting to hurt somebody. Smiley's constant depression is clear even after he transforms because you can see it in the expression of his troll face there. There are hints given that the derp he tortures to death in his first video is actually close to his daughter, if not a boyfriend or lover. The song Redemption may have been either showing us a mercy kill for him, or Boyfriend just staying with him as his body passed on naturally. If it's a mercy kill, then this may be the only Trollge Boyfriend actually kills as an agent. Some of you are immediately going to ask about Tallman because of that, but I'll get into that later. And because I saw discussing this as a spoiler in the last video, I'll say it here. I did tear up a little during the sequences on both sides of redemption. The way we discover that Smiler's daughter was Derpina herself, and the speech he gives before passing on, really shows us how much he wanted to be a good father, and what kind of person he wanted to be and was before falling to the infection. And all of this done with so few lines of dialogue, by the way. Also, this is probably going to be where we get the start of what seems to be the major theme of the mod, which is not letting go of the past and not moving forward.
Let's make a deal. All you have to do is accept.
Act 2 begins after Smiler's final song, and begins with us taking a deal with a character constantly referred to so far as Tallman. Act 2 was filled up with the tertiary characters of the mod, I'll say. Each of them shows up pretty much for only one song. Most of them have a reason for appearing, however, in terms of either the theme or ties with boyfriend and girlfriend. The important thing about Act 2 is it takes place as a mental battle inside a boyfriend's mind, which Tallman is going to make repeated threats of death and dying to boyfriend. That might seem a little odd and out of place if this is all a mental battle, but there's a reason for that I'll get into when we get to Tallman again.
The rain is coming.
Stairway's origin were in the first video on Malicious Bunny's channel, which was a direct retelling of the Heaven's Stairway incident comic. And Malicious Bunny does give credit to the author in the special thanks section of the mod. Now, a combination of his intro cinematic, his memories file, and the game over sequence suggests that, in his world at least, he is the troll character himself from the Rage comics and troll physics memes that you would see online all the time. I want to bring attention to the cutscene leading into Smiler's song because on the surface it looks like it's being respectful toward the source material of the Rage comics and troll memes. However, it's also showing those not in the understanding of troll physics memes and things such as that how the troll physics meme is used, so that anybody who's watching and knows nothing about anything has at least some minor understanding. Crucially, however, Stairway states his motivation as being able to show everyone he is, to quote, still capable. Again, a major sign that the theme of this mod is being stuck in the past. And as I said before, keep in mind that the Troll's transformations can be reverted either willingly or by outside force. So, in that original video where we saw Stairway introduced and he killed Derpy after Derpy was mutated, then it would appear that after the Heaven's Stairway incident occurred, he reverted, killed Derpy out of fear and self-defense, and then went insane and became the full-on Trollges incident he is now. However, it's important to bring up that the information about these two that was given to us by Malicious Bunny's Twitter account is that neither of them have crossed paths with the Troll Containment Foundation or Boyfriend. So when you unlock the incident files in the mod and you're reading everything about Stairway in there, I can only assume that all that was written up after Boyfriend saw him in his mind. But the question then becomes, if Stairway was never met by Boyfriend or the TCF, so there were no files he could have read about him to know anything about him in his mind, then how is he remembering Stairway to be able to fight him in the first place? The explanation for this one is fairly simple, but it may also be speculation. However, I think it's more theory-wise when we talk more about Tallman. Remember that Tallman is the one that's instigating all of this and messing with Boyfriend's mind? So, what we can infer from all this is that Tallman is the one that somehow has memories of who Stairway is and who Derpy is.
Your name? Could you tell me your name?
JJ, as I mentioned before, is a character that caused his own transformation through his own will. However, even though he's a creepy, scary clown, he's not the usual one. His desire is actually to avenge the children that are being murdered in nearby woods. And after he was transformed, like all Trollges, he went a little nuts, and he began kidnapping children to a cellar to protect them there, and attacking adults that came near him because of an evil he felt was inherent in all adults. Now, again, this is going to be speculation, but I think this statement is something that helps us give us proof or evidence that whatever the Trollge cell infection is that keeps being referred to, it is not something that is exclusive to deals, it's something that's inherent in everybody. Now what we get from this is that anyone can become a Trollge. The power that JJ is stated to have is that he can drive people insane just by looking at them, and therefore he's kept contained in a small room with a blindfold on at all times. However, in the files, we get another reference to the worlds thing, where it's stated that it was found to be more effective to keep him contained in a small chamber on his own world. Now, to use this as the point to discuss the whole multiple worlds thing, there's many ways it can be taken. Either it's a multiverse, there's other universes, there's parallel universes, or there might literally be other worlds in orbit around other stars in our own galaxy that are similar to ours, with humans in them and societies that have these same Trollge infection problems. I believe it is a multiverse thing or an alternate universe thing, and the Trollge Containment Foundation does make it clear that they can move between these worlds. So I will continue using the word worlds because that's how it's used in the mod. But just remember that it may not be literal worlds, but just a word signifying the concept of things like multiple dimensions and things such as that. There isn't any evidence given that Boyfriend made any sort of direct contact with JJ either before or after his capture, but it is entirely plausible that he read the files on him, due to the fact that the files that were written and the interview were shown seem to be independent from the actions of Boyfriend. The most noteworthy thing about JJ himself is that during the song, a giant troll shows up in the background. I've come to 3 ideas about that, and the first one I think is the most likely. Judging from how he's seen in the interview, the full Trolls transformation of JJ is probably what we're being shown in the background. However, considering that these are all being projected by Tallman himself into Boyfriend's mind, it might be possible it's Tallman himself joining in the dance just to do a little bit of extra trolling. The third option is one that adds to the horror aspect of this, and that is that the giant trolls in the background dancing may be a separate Trollge that JJ himself witnessed in the woods and feels that that is the person he needs to go against in order to stop the harm of the children. And if that's true, then that means that him witnessing a Trollge monster in the woods doing all this stuff to the children might be what inspired him to willingly activate the Trollge transformation for himself so that he can fight this creature on even ground.
Look at him, so still, so silent, so smiling.
Smiley returns, and this is, of course, a Trollge that Boyfriend has met himself, but also something that may be showcasing to us what Smiler is able of doing at quote-unquote full power. Because here he has access to the televisions that he was using to attack and brainwash and ultimately kill Derp with. There's not much else about Smiler himself to learn from this, but this is a sequence that shows us the Trollges we've been battling throughout the game, before, after, and right here, is what they are like at full power, even if it's just mental projection. So, in other words, we're seeing them as they would be seen in the real world if we actually came across them. Now, something to bring up, though, is that Tallman is explicitly bringing up Smiler to be a guilt trip against Boyfriend. And even before this fight, Tallman keeps going into a speech about nostalgia, which is another reference to the past and things such as that. However, he's also bringing up a person from our past, and this is not going to be the only time he does that.
Now, listen together.
Jenkins is one of the first songs in the mod to surprise me with how the music was presented, with some of the lyrics the Trollges uses actually being piano notes. I bring this up here because I felt that this would have been a spoiler in the previous video. This is the one that I mentioned I wanted to be a surprise for everybody because I wanted it to be something that showcased how much effort and care was given to this. However, Jenkins is an important character because he's not only a parallel to boyfriend and girlfriend's relationship, but he's also clearly stated to be friends with boyfriend and the reason why he joined the Trollges Containment Foundation. From what we can gather in the files, boyfriend came across Jenkins while he was transformed and called him down from a serial murdering spree by singing a duet with him. I haven't been able to figure out if they were friends before he died or before his transformation, but in either case, boyfriend regularly visited Jenkins after he was contained, and they became good friends by this time. Also, I'll point out that boyfriend's expression during the song is more comfortable around him as well. Jenkins learned music to impress and get together with a girlfriend of his own, but unlike boyfriend and girlfriend, Jenkins' relationship soured as the popularity of his music grew. Now, from what I can gather, during an argument they had, Jenkins' girlfriend ran away from him and, I guess, into oncoming traffic or something and was hit and killed. Of course, this leads Jenkins to despair, and he goes off to drown himself. This is where Jenkins is clearly stated to be the second Trollge in the mod to have been brought back from the dead by the transformation he went into. However, the circumstances are different versus Smiley. Somehow, all of his fans' desires came together and summoned him back from the dead as a Trollge individual. They were hoping to hear more of his music. What they got was an insane Trollge that started slicing and dicing to get everybody to stop remembering him by stopping living. Now, not only is this another reference to not letting go of the past, but in this case being done by other people to someone, it does give us a major bit of information about how the infection works. It feels like it's showing us the infection of the Trollge doesn't require there to be a living human involved, just enough of a desire. Also, there's another moment of the song that I think is important to bring up that helps show us this relationship with Jenkins, the crowd of people that still wanted him to be around, and how it all ties together with being stuck in the past. You can hear faintly in the background growing the sounds of cheering rising up. Jenkins isn't just defeated by boyfriend, he's unable to escape the cheering and the desires of the crowd that brought him back. However, we're starting to get into the major spoiler territory here because we now have our first step into the third act. Girlfriend disappears during this song. Now this is the mental world, so she may have been a manifestation of boyfriend's memories in all of this, signifying her importance to him, but I think it's entirely plausible that due to the demon powers she has that were mentioned in the previous video, she is actually projecting herself directly into the mental battles to help support boyfriend more directly. Both of these are plausible with what we know about boyfriend and girlfriend's relationship, and as I said, because either one is plausible, this helps show us that they are in character. So an analysis of what happens in the next couple cinematics in regards to what's going on with girlfriend, I'm going to skip that for a little bit until it becomes relevant again, so that we can keep focusing on individual bits and pieces. Derpy is explicitly stated to be two things. He is not a Trollge individual, so he's just a mutated muck monster, and it's also mindless and harmless as a puppy. Now, between girlfriend missing and boyfriend's own fear and stupidity, boyfriend activating a sort of fight and flight response and battling against Derpy is fairly understandable. Derpy, however, is one of the more mysterious characters in the mod. There has never been a clear explanation or even many hints given as to what caused him to transform. Here we go again. The game over sequence shows that he was concerned about Troll, who became Stairway, either before during or after the Stairway incident occurred and went to go visit him. If you're going to really push me into something about what caused him to transform, we see a little thing of oil there on the desk while we're fighting him. So it's entirely plausible that due to the fact that Stairway in this version of the canon for the Stairway's Heavens incident used an oil-like substance to pollute the water supply and cause everybody to float during the rainstorm, then I am going to assume and suspect that whatever that oil concoction is caused the transformation somehow. Putting it in the water supply makes people float off into the sky during the rainstorm. Getting it splashed all over you in an undiluted form might cause you to mutate and turn into an oil creature. Again, Derpy was never met directly by anybody with a TCF or boyfriend, so this is another time that we can imply the memories are coming from Tallman. Now this also implies that Tallman himself may have had something to do with the mutation, and it also implies that Tallman has something to do with all the Trollges infections, or at the very least, some possible connection to Stairway. There's going to be moments from here on out in the video where I'm not going to be very conclusive about what I'm saying, and I've probably done that a couple times beforehand, but it's going to get much more common later. It's just that mostly what I'm doing when that happens is that I'm trying to make sure that I give information, ideas, and thoughts so that a conclusive idea can be come to by people in the comments section, other people watching, that sort of thing. I guess more or less it's just trying to figure out a way to bring all our heads together on this. Now the thing about being harmless and mindless does raise an interesting question. Are the mutations we see throughout the song a reaction to the perceived aggression by Boyfriend? In other words, is this a defensive act it's taking? Or is this its actual natural evolution over time that would be happening if it was just locked in the room and forgot about? So before we continue, I want to summarize Act 2 by saying that what we've been witnessing outside of information for the lore and things like that is a respect and care given toward us, the audience, with making sure there was still something interesting going on. Attempts were made to give stories and backgrounds to each of them, and to make sure that all of them at least had something to do with the story. And it's possible that some of these things we've seen in Act 2 will be revisited when we talk about Tallman later on. But now it's time to double back a little bit and go over the plot twists, plot points, and spoilers I've been skipping over up until this point, because we are now heading into Act 3. Despite her demonic powers, Tallman has managed to somehow kidnap Girlfriend and also mind control her. And again, this is something that was stated later on. This is not a Trollge form for Girlfriend. At least she doesn't become one now. This is mental manipulation from Tallman, transforming her into this form, effectively to get under the skin of Boyfriend. Also, I really like that this is the point in time that Tallman changes how he's talking and how he looks, because it really shows off that the mask is starting to fall off, and this is his true threat and power. And I do want to bring attention to effectively how this mod chose to portray 4 words in a fashion that I think cannot be understated how well it was done. You could say in the context of the mod, but I think it was well done in general to begin with.
She is right here.
And that is what helps deliver him as a terrifying and unsettling monster. As I said before, it's clear by this point that Tallman is going after Girlfriend just so he can get at Boyfriend as well. And it doesn't nearly work. It does work. Now, before we go on, I do want to go into how this played out and what it speaks about Tallman's planning and the Machiavellian nature of his character. He was serious when he was saying things like using Boyfriend's mind against him. However, since his power is obviously to be able to read minds, I think it's clear that Tallman already knew to go after Girlfriend, and this whole mental battles thing was a red herring or a distraction. This was nothing but a Kansas City shuffle to keep Boyfriend occupied while he went after the real target. This isn't the full picture of who Tallman is or how he does things, but this is a point in time where it's made clear he is a well-written and strong villain. In a lot of other cases, the story that follows from here would be played up as, oh, aren't I so edgy? Aren't I so dark? Look at how depressing and evil and everything is. And God, aren't I so awesome for making this creepypasta style thing that's gonna be remembered so much for being so cool. Malicious Bunny, I want to give a direct statement to you and the team. Thank you for the respect you are giving us as the audience for what you wrote, what you created, and what we are about to see. Now, I will say that even though it was obvious to expect Girlfriend to have something happen to her based on the artwork, I was not expecting that to be something that actually did get to Boyfriend the way it did. I was legitimately thinking, going in, that this was going to be Girlfriend's transformed, Boyfriend finds out, Boyfriend sings and saves her. Again, Malicious Bunny, thank you for not making it so simple, but still enjoyable. This song, however, is the one that I feel really elevates the mod to a legitimate form of art that needs to be shared with everyone. And it's easy to believe that at this point Boyfriend and Girlfriend are singing more for Tallman's enjoyment. But how things play out, not just in the song, but what we see during the song, is very good. To elaborate, Girlfriend isn't being used as a trope or cliche of the loved one being harmed by a villain to make him an easy threat. She still has her own part to play in all this, even after she's mind-controlled and transformed. As the song plays, we see Girlfriend racked in pain as her original voice from the tutorial breaks through, transporting both of them to the memories they still share of their past adventures. Corrupted memories, but they're still there. And after hearing her real voice a few times, Boyfriend actually calms down from his insanity and then tries to help her break free. Remember, it's clear that Boyfriend's out of his mind at the beginning of this song, so we can't really say one way or the other whether he's still trying to save her or just singing for the enjoyment of it for his own insanity or for Tallman's benefit. And after an emotional ending to the song between the two of them, we go into the next one where Girlfriend sits weakened across from Boyfriend and he keeps singing along to try to break through to her. But it isn't enough. Tallman declares his victory. Boyfriend is alone and lost, and we can see that in his pose. And then, as if the game itself were giving up, it closes.
We are Legion.
After we restart the game, it brings us into a cutscene that shows us information about Tallman's history. Or, to use the name he's known by in the game and by the fans, Legion. Tallman himself appears linked to nearly everything in the story and the lore about the game's universe, including with the mystery character that shows up in a little bit. Now, this is a point in time when things get complicated when trying to analyze the characters individually, so instead I'm going to go through how the story progresses and ends, and then we'll come back and use what we've learned from that to analyze the characters of this final chapter. When we see Boyfriend again, he's visibly changed, and based on what Legion says, he's been asleep for possibly years. And I'm going to say something that I know I've seen somewhere before, but I can't remember where. But it does make sense for what they said and what we see to assume that Legion has deliberately been keeping him around all this time just to have a plaything after he's conquered the world. Now, Boyfriend steps forward and says that no matter what happens, he wants to put this to an end. And we're given an incredible song with absolutely insane mechanics that involve switching between keyboard controls and the mouse. This is definitely a boss song, and we can feel it's being sung by an eldritch horror. And while using a choir for a boss song might seem old hat, consider that the choir may be the voices of the entire world that Legion's enslaved singing along with him. Or alternatively, they're the voices of the souls trying to call out to Boyfriend to save them. All the constant troll references and poses throughout the song, as well as how he's interacting with Boyfriend, are showing us that Legion is toying with him, despite how difficult everything is for Boyfriend to do. And Malicious Bunny did design the song to be as impossible as it is for a purpose. You aren't meant to beat this song. And if you use bot play, you can hear the full one, but you still need to use the mouse mechanics on your own to finish it. Boyfriend can keep trying as many times as he wants, but Legion is just as determined with that smug grin of his, and he never lets up either. No matter how many losses or wins you get doing this song, you will eventually give up. And after Legion claims his final soul of the entire world, he celebrates his victory. As someone approaches from behind, and the voices surrounding Legion fade away. When Legion turns around to notice who this character is, it scares the hell out of him. And once more the game, or perhaps I should say the world, resets on us. A mystery voice that appears to be from the figure that approached Legion reaches out to Boyfriend, and at this point in time he is infected as a Trollge. But enough of him is still left there to be able to make a deal with this character. We're given the chance to replay the song My Dear Love, which is where we failed to save Girlfriend, and this time, whatever that mystery voice's deal was, gave us hints and abilities to be able to finish it. As we finish the song and we see Boyfriend's memories of happier times with Girlfriend, we're all rewarded with hearing Girlfriend's voice sweetly responding and smiling at Boyfriend. And as Boyfriend stares down Legion one last time, he defeats him with the only way a musician knows how, with a painful and sustained high note. Now this is the point in time that I'm going to point out that even though it's clear Legion's going to be pretty messed up after this, if you go look in the files after you finish the game, it explicitly states that Legion is not destroyed, but contained. And that file was clearly written after the confrontation with Boyfriend because it says so in it. However, considering what Boyfriend did to him and the theory that I have that Boyfriend still has the powers that he used to defeat him, Legion is not any threat anymore. And after the credits for special acknowledgements roll past, we're rewarded for all this time and effort with a certain pair of eyes opening. Not as a cliche, but as a reward for all that us and Boyfriend had been through. To go back to the two characters that we skipped over for the analysis, Legion and this mystery figure, let's start with something about the mystery figure. As I pointed out in my previous video, all the characters that appeared in this mod have been foreshadowed to us by the files of the previous version of this mod. All of them except for one have appeared, and that one is Trollface. And that's why I'm going to conclusively say that this mystery figure is Trollface. And I will also say that I believe that Trollface is the individual that Arthur/Legion made his deal with to get his powers and his transformation. I will go into that in a second. Now, Trollface has very, very little evidence about who it is or what the motivations it has are. So a lot of what's coming up now is speculation based off the tiny bit of information we get from his speech, but I feel that's enough of the evidence for it. If we take all the evidence into account that this figure appears and he's able to counteract the powers of Legion, He's able to reset the world. He's able to give new powers to Boyfriend. The fear that Legion has when he sees him, this is clearly another godlike being. Now, to put it this way, I do not believe Trollface is a god in the sense of all-powerful. I believe, however, it's that kind of Greek god or pagan god kind of thing, where he's a god that's all-powerful in his domain. And in this case, I believe that force of nature he's controlling is the concept of trolling itself. And in a way, Trollface might be the source of that concept as a whole for everybody around the universes. This is where we get wild, folks. Now, let's start going back to Legion real quick, because these two are intertwined a lot. As I said, Arthur made a deal with the voices he was hearing, which appears to be Trollface. Important to the theme of this mod, however, which by now should be clear, being stuck in the past and not moving on, Legion's motivation was that he was already forgotten when he got the skills to entertain people. Now, I keep going on about Trollface being the godlike embodiment of a concept of trolling, because it's made clear the way he's talking that he's not human, and in fact he actually looks down on them and thinks of them as sinful. And he makes it sound as if being stuck in the past is one of those sins that he holds against them. So with all that, why does Trollface even make a deal with Arthur to begin with? Why does Trollface care about humans and making deals with them when he has no interest in them? He's just trolling. Consequences be damned. Trollface is out there wandering around, finding people that he can entertain himself with by giving them the power to troll. In fact, you could say this power was given to everybody who makes the meme comics and the rage comics and things with the Trollface as well. And there's a reason I bring that up that we'll get into. The deal that Legion made with Trollface was obviously for power. And as the god of trolling, he gave godlike trolling powers to Legion. However, Legion was so wrapped up in the past, he was mind-controlling instead of using his trolling skills. This could have violated the deal between him and Trollface. And after the whole world was consumed and there was no going back from what he did, Trollface returns and takes away the powers, disappointed in him. After the powers are taken away and he leaves the world to rot, Trollface comes across Boyfriend out of all the souls that are left behind. He recognizes that instead of trying to save the world as it used to be, Boyfriend didn't care if anything could actually be fixed, and just wanted to stop Legion no matter what the cost, even his own life. For all Boyfriend and us knew, there was no going back from what had happened. So seeing this within Boyfriend prompts Trollface to make a deal with him. He tells Boyfriend he needs to prove himself, which is probably also what he told Legion, which is why instead of Trollface just snapping his fingers and fixing everything, Boyfriend gets some of his powers to be able to save Girlfriend if he can use them good enough. And that's why during that sequence, the new power you get is just being able to push the spacebar to stop the life drain effect. It's up to you to finish doing what's necessary to get to the rest of the song. Now, to summarize all of this, the Troll's mutations I don't think are actually directly caused by him. He's the source of troll cells in every living thing. They can all be trolls, but because of the sinful usage of them by humans ourselves, for whatever reason, we go one step beyond just plain trolls and become evil entities, as in the Trollges. This is why I think even without deals being made with other Trollges or the voices within them, certain people can become Trollges either by their will or by the will of others. And of course, I'm going to conclude that the given theme of the game is once more being stuck in the past and not being able to move on from it. Of course, that's easy to tell with the quote at the beginning of the game that we keep seeing. But what if there's a way we can take that idea farther? An important part of the memory that we unlock about Legion is that he says he can't get his powers to work in, quote, this world. That memory is the key to a lot of the speculation and theorizing I'm about to go into. And I'll make sure to do my best to keep all these ideas up to speed for everybody that's following along with me. In short, I am about to get into the idea that this mod, has parallels to the Friday Night Funkin' community itself, as well as all of us in the world as a whole. And there is a lesson and message that we can learn from this, not just about being stuck in the past, but what we actually learn from the past. And before we go further, I will say that I do not think this is something that the team intended when they made this. I am not going to discount that idea that this was meant to be something that we would discover. However, this is going to be a leap, but I have the evidence for it. To go back to the memory, Legion says that in this world he's in, which is the world that Boyfriend in this mod is a part of, he has found bomb-headed people and talking TVs, as well as sees this iris symbol that we've been seeing throughout the entire mod. And when Legion sees the iris symbol, he says the name Daddy Dearest, and realizes that he has an idea of what to do in the world now. Bomb-headed people and talking TVs are clear references to some of the earliest fan mods of the community, namely Versus Witty and Versus Hex. The iris symbol also comes from Versus Hex. The canon usage of that symbol in Versus Hex is meant to be as a symbol for a media conglomerate. What all this together means is that the world that we're seeing with this mod is a world where the fandom and fan works are canonical to it. And if you understand how the books and worlds of that old video game series Myst worked, you have a similar situation here. In other words, the best I can describe it is, in the infiniteness of the universe itself, over time, if you were to search long enough, you would find a world that is either identical to this one, or identical to it with a few differences. Which means that somewhere out there is a world where our fiction that we're writing or creating is real in some fashion. Now that leads the question of how Legion learns so much about our world just from a symbol. It's because he can mind control. This is a day and age where nearly every corporation and store you go to gathers as much information and data about you as it can. Internet cookies, signing up for shopping cards, sign up for free crap, you get the deal. And so if Legion gets his hands on the right guy, he gets all the info that a major media conglomerate has on everybody. So from all this, there's something deeper to take from Trollface's discussion and to deal with Boyfriend. Trollface is an entity that's on the outside looking in. He can see how the internet of our world took the troll memes and turned them into something dark and horrifying with the Trollges memes. And that is also a part of why Trollface sees humanity as sinful. They took something that he was a part of and turned it into something that he felt it wasn't. Trolling is just for fun. Trollges hurt people. Boyfriend, however, has become a meme of his own these days in our world. He has fans as well. And those fans have been putting Boyfriend and even Girlfriend into other dark and horrifying situations for their mods and fan works. The music being used in these mods are either based off those formats that are being used, based off the crossovers they're using, or entirely original compositions. Those factors all applied, and Boyfriend himself being a musician, Boyfriend can be symbolic and indicative of how humans can take the past and build off of it to make something better and greater. The Blueballs incident uses Friday Night Funkin' and the Trollges memes as a way to create something greater. Meanwhile, there are a number of excellent remixes of songs for the main game, this mod, and other mods by very skilled and talented people. I'll name drop Sairi Taikutsu again, but also I'll bring up J Phantom and the very skilled Faye Hadlami, just to bring up artists that remix songs from the Blueballs incident. The point being, how many of these artists would you have recognized and shared with other people if they didn't do fan art or remixes or what have you about already established and popular franchises? So I just got a message in my inbox during the editing of all this, and I need to get back in front of the camera to give a very special thank you to Fahad Lami. So when I get to the tribute for the Blueballs incident team in this video, we will be hearing Triskaphobia Trouble. And I want to point out that I'm using that song specifically because it uses bits and pieces of multiple other fan mods as well in it, including Sonic EXE. So I think it's actually a great illustration in music form about the fan community coming together. So please give it a listen to, check out the tribute, and then make sure to go to Fahad Lami's channel to see much more good stuff. Just as Boyfriend proved to Trollface something greater and better can be built on what came before, the modern internet community a lot of times relies on using previous works to create new things. Let's Players, for example, will play a popular game, and over time they would gain people's trust that they're just as entertaining to watch and listen to as with other things. People across the world can use YouTube and Instagram to have others they would never have met realize their skill and potential. And there is another theme and genre that you can say that this mod is, which I'll get into now, because after all that, it's time to return to Girlfriend and Boyfriend. On the surface, Girlfriend doesn't have that much I didn't bring up back when she was transformed. However, I will say that it feels like Girlfriend and Boyfriend are being treated in such a... Hi, kitty. Wanna say hello to the camera, kitty? However, it feels like Girlfriend and Boyfriend are in such a strong relationship together, and so inseparable, that they're being treated as if they're one dual character. We see flashbacks during My Dear Love that show us it's not just Boyfriend's singing that has them staying together, and it's clear Girlfriend is conscious of her decisions to be with Boyfriend even in their most dire of moments. These two care for each other deeply, no matter how stupid they actually are. And that's shown to us in the epilogue for this mod.
Why are you two not running right now?
Early on, we're shown that Boyfriend is aware of internet memes when him and Girlfriend weaponize a JoJo pose against Smiler. And after the mod's finished, we notice that, even though he's an idiot, Boyfriend's still aware enough to not just troll a troll, but also drop all goofiness and become dead serious when the time comes. Another major aspect of Boyfriend is that he has no true ill will against anyone he comes across, either in this game or other mods. And this is true even with him in the main game, notwithstanding the idea that he's too stupid to fully understand his danger. And to point it out again, in this mod, he didn't treat any of the danger seriously until they were casualties, namely Girlfriend being taken from him. Now we have actual confirmation of this with the fact that he's actually befriended two of the Trollges, which reinforces what was said before. Smiler declares his friendship as he's passing on.
From the depths of my soul, I need to say, thank you, my friend.
And as stated, he was friends with Jenkins after he was captured. And to go back to something that Trollface was saying that I skipped over a little bit when he was talking to Boyfriend, he states that he is tied to the same ropes as him, but unlike Trollface, Boyfriend accepts, quote, them. If the ropes he's tied to are the same as the quoted them, then it's plausible that Trollface is saying both him and Boyfriend have a connection of some sort to the Trollge individuals. But unlike Trollface, Boyfriend didn't discount any of them, wasn't disappointed at anyone, and he actually befriended them. A deeper theory goes back to what I was saying about the worlds, and how they're on the outside looking into all these different worlds, where one of them might be our world, and how we're using internet memes in it. Now, I'm kind of using Boyfriend being knowledgeable about JoJo memes, being evidence of his knowledge of boyfriend and girlfriend memes and fan games. And just as Trollface was disappointing and disapproving of how people were using the troll memes and transforming them into what he didn't like, Boyfriend is accepting of the new memes, of the new formats he's being introduced to. Or to put it more bluntly, from the outside looking in, Boyfriend is accepting of us. That's a hell of a stretch, I know, but the point stands. And if you think all this discussion about Boyfriend being self-aware as an internet meme is a little out there for your taste, then consider the idea that Boyfriend is a celebrity that is accepting of his fan base. We are the ropes that Trollface and Boyfriend are tied to. The ropes being our desires to see new and interesting things for those characters to be doing. We resurrect the memes with how we keep using them, and not wanting to leave them alone. Just like the fans of Jenkins resurrected him in the mod storyline. And to conclude, I think that's why I'm really convinced this is a true work of art, if not damn close to it. Because in all forms of art, the author generally almost always has a way they want it to be intended and how to be seen. However, great art is not one that just simply has a theme and ideas behind it, but one that also has enough room for people to come to their own conclusions that they find interesting. A way to keep it alive past what it was intended. Consider the fact of all the fan works and fan remixes of just from Blueballs incident, or from other fan mods that you may be introduced to. This is a mod that gives enough wiggle room for people to have their own conclusions to try to keep it interesting for others or just for themselves. And it might be possible that even the authors love seeing what these unintended ideas are, because it might give them inspiration on what their new projects will be in the future. No hints given, I'm just saying. But the point being, this is something that, in the end, inspired others, inspired me, and hopefully inspires you somehow. And all of this wild theory that I've come up with would not exist if it wasn't for that memory of Legion talking about how he traveled the worlds. So to conclude this, we're going to look at one last song. And after you finish the game, normally, there's 2 more that are unlocked. The first hidden song with Trollface is just goofy fun that doesn't really appear connected to any deeper lore. It does, however, include a combination of mechanics from all the other songs for the most part. However, the second song unlocked, Daisuke, is clearly an epilogue song that is meant to be a conclusion to everything we've had. The first thing you'll notice is that both boyfriend and girlfriend are obviously changed. Girlfriend has paler skin and hair from her transformation. However, I think the red eyes might just be her demonic heritage growing inside her a little bit more. Boyfriend's arm is now completely black, and while I've seen plenty of people say that this is a remnant or influence of the Troll's transformation, considering everything went back in the past and was reset, I don't think that's actually what it is. What I do think it is a remnant and a sign of either the deal he made with Trollface, or it could be the continuing existence of the powers he was given by Trollface. Most importantly, however, this is clearly a love song, and it's a gorgeous one at that. This is just 2 lovers singing with each other. And since it's not a battle, the game actually won't let you lose this song. So with this song, with full conclusion of all the storylines and arcs we have in the game, not only was the Blueballs incident a horror mod, but it was also a love story. When the song's over, they relax hand in hand with a sunset that lasts forever, or until you finally hit a button to move on from it, letting the 2 of them be as you move on with your life. Maybe like them, you'll return to the game to have those memories of horror and sorrow, or share the game and those memories with others like they possibly would. But just like those 2, after this final song, you can smile when you remember it. Because we all know now how it turns out. With a well-earned happy ending for them and us. Again, this whole thing was an experience, and if you haven't seen it by now, I hope you go watch it. Just wanting to share this mod with everyone I know inspired me to get back to working on videos, and I know this mod has inspired many others as well with their own work. Like I said, there's fan art, remixes, crossover mods, and videos. Again, Malicious Bunny is working on a new project, and I feel with what we've seen here, the team is absolutely capable of making something great, no matter what it is. And I'm not saying that whatever they come out with next has to be better than the Blueballs incident or on par with it. What I am saying, though, is that the Blueballs incident has proven to us that Malicious Bunny and the people that she works with definitely have the skill and ability to take whatever they work on and make something wonderful out of it. Now, of course, this is a discussion, so feel free to leave comments if you think there's something you think I got wrong, or if you think there's something I miss, or something that you think was interesting, or your take on anything. But most importantly, go leave likes and comments on any work you come across that you feel is worth it, and definitely share it with others. This has been a long set of 2 videos, and that's mostly why I put them into 2 parts, because I knew there was going to be a very long length between them. And I am very happy if you stuck around just to watch one of the videos. Now, my next video coming up in about a week is going to be how Sonic the Hedgehog and its developers are stealing ideas from Grand Theft Auto and its developers. And I will be... Hi, Gabriel. My next video will be Sonic the Hedgehog and how its developers seem to be stealing ideas from Grand Theft Auto, and why you should care about something like that. But in the meantime, make sure to take care of yourselves and others. My God, that was a hokey sign-off. Whatever, I'll keep it.